Hi guys, welcome back. It's a great day. I hope you all are having a great start to the week. Okay. So in today's video, we will be discussing the Q4 FY25 results of PGEL. Okay, which is nothing but PG Electroplast. I think I would say this is part two of the AC space because yesterday we did part one where we covered Symphony, Voltas, and Blue Star. Okay. So today we will do PGEL, right? So with PGEL, I believe everybody by now you all are aware of the business model, right? PGEL is a company that's it's a contract manufacturing company, एक B2B business है, where these people are making ACs, washing machine, air coolers, and all of these different kind of products. Now here with PGL, AC becomes of a primary importance, or your air coolers and all these kind of products become of primary importance because they contribute more towards the top line over here. ठीक है? Like for example, if you look at the other companies and all, right, you will see that there will be one or the other product that contributes major, but over here with PGL it is ACs and the product division that we call that contributes almost 70% to the top line. Okay, so that is why over here it becomes of like a huge or a primary importance. Okay, now with PGL, one thing is we've seen over the last 4 quarters, since we've had a very great summer, even PGL was no exception. It had the best year probably in the company's history, and and not just that, it also was a leader in this AC space, because if you compare either in the B2C side, or if you have to do a peer-to-peer comparison and see in the B2B side, right, we have EPAC, we have Virtuous Optoelectronics, and what's the other company, Amber, right? You see that PGL was leading the race in terms of in terms of growth rate, in terms of profitability, in terms of increasing the guidance, everything, all in all, everything. It was a very fantastic show. Okay, and obviously the PE also got related because it was the fastest growing engine among everybody, grew exceptionally and everything. Now coming back in Q4 FY25, as you know, it's the start of the new year, April, May and June, we start the new year, and it is the hot cakes, right? Like I tell, April, May, June for all of this AC company are like hot months or like hot cakes in a year, okay? Because that's when they see, the maximum amount of sale happening. So we have to see how does this FY26 ka guidance look like, right? Because that will set the tone for the entire direction or the entire business momentum for the year. Now first let us talk about the result of Q4 FY25. Okay, if you look at the result has been exceptional, and see, Q4 result was not a surprise, right? Because they had guided for a certain amount of numbers, and they were very confident about doing it, because in Q3, because if you look at PGL, they came and they increased guidance over the quarters, right? Because in Q4 of last year, when they came Q4 of FY24, they told on a consolidated level, on a group level, sales growth will be 40. Then they came and told 54 in I believe in Q1 or Q2, and then in Q1, Q3 they came and told, Q2 they came and told 63%, and in Q3 they came and told it was 74% या 80% का group level का guidance था, ठीक है? So starting of the year in Q4 they told it would be 45, and they ended the year in Q3 they told, just the last quarter they told that the guidance on a group level the sales growth would be around 80. So you knew, I mean, come on, right? Obviously whenever you're doing the Q3 ka call, you're already in the months of Q4, so no management would be foolish enough to come and guide for something higher when you know it is not achievable. So Q4 result was not a how do I put this, was not something like out of the blue. It was not, it was expected, because कि like ये करेगा ही करेगा 80% का profitability का भी guidance दिया था. So sales growth, if you look at it, if you look from on a year-on-year basis, that is Q4 on Q4 basis, you see that the sales grew by 77%, and if you look at the PAT, I believe the PAT grew by around 116%, in that range, right? So Q4 result is great. Margins has also been quite stable. Margins are good, right? Everything is great. Everything, the numbers of Q4 is literally out of the park. Best blockbuster, up jo bhi bolo, it was it. Okay. If you look at the Q4 ka updates also, like if you look at the individual segment, how it has been, like if you look at RAC, which is room ACs, which is one of their major components, room AC also grew by 128%. All well, all fine, okay. अगर आप देखते हो वॉशिंग मशीन जो उनका है, वॉशिंग मशीन हैड अ ग्रोथ ऑफ 43%, ठीक है. अगर आप उसका प्रोडक्ट डिवीजन देखते हो, which contributes 72% of the total revenue, which consists of RAC, which consists of washing machine and all of this, that also grew, that contributed around 3,000 crores to the top line, ठीक है. So all in all, a great update, everything. अगर आप उनका capex का भी देखते हो, like they had a lot of capex going on last year. The capex they were spending was around 360 to 400 crore का capex they had done in FY24-25. Even a lot of that capex is also going according to the plan. Everything has been delivered over there, even on that front. So all in all the capex, everything great. Now what we have to look is the आगे का देखना है, right? How will FY26 look like? How will all of that, ठीक है? Now when you look at the guidance of FY26, just to give you a glimpse over here. If you look at Blue Star, Volta, Symphony, right? If you look at the other AC companies, where they have been very bullish in the last year, they're not that bullish. In fact, you will look at Blue Star ka, I really want you to guys to, just go listen to Blue Star ka first 5 minutes. I really feel bad for that guy, because before the con call started, before he could even start with the numbers or anything, he's like, see, I know this is a question I'm going to get from all of you guys. So because this is the only question I've been getting, I've been getting this question from my investors, from the person who's managing my own wealth, from my relatives, from my friends, every single person that I talk to. The only thing I get, I ask is like, bhai, how is the AC ka demand? How is the summer been? And that was the first 10 minutes he only spoke about this. So you can imagine what the pressure has been like for all these companies. I kind of felt bad, for that guy. But anyways, it was very fun, Blue Star ka call. So he went around and he spoke like, usually AC, agar aap dekhte ho, generally it grows by 20 to 25% ka CAGR. But if we as a company, we push forward, we can grow by 25 to 30. And Blue Star thoda sa wo guidance miss kiya, because they grew their sales by 23. They couldn't grow faster than the industry rate, by a huge amount. They grew similarly at the industry rate itself, okay? And unka kehna tha ki like two reasons. One is one of their divisions, which is refrigeration division, that didn't really perform well, refrigerator ka division. The second thing is the summer has been delayed, right? And there has been a lot of, monsoon that is there, it was preponed. We are seeing early monsoons everywhere. And AC ka, just pace se hona chahe tha, wo nahi hua hai. And obviously there is inventory lying around everywhere. So, lot of stocking has already happened. So there was a little bit of a negative connotation. The kind of positivity that was there in Q4 of FY24, that wasn't there in Q4 of FY25 in either of the calls, whether it is Blue Star, Voltus or Symphony, right? Like they always spoke about the summer being erratic and all. So to be very honest, even me, when I saw, like obviously, like I track, see, this is one of the reasons why you need to track across the space. Let's say if you're invested in FMCG company, right? Let's say if you're invested in Britannia, you have to read everything that is there in the FMCG space, because that gives you a clear idea. आप लोग मुझसे पूछते हो ना कि like how do you trust that a management is telling the truth, right? Because if you are operating in one space, there are 10 other players also operating in the same space. Everybody's story has to be the same. जो मेरे घर में हो रहा है, I can't tell, मेरा neighbor के, I can't go to my neighbor and tell, one story and my mom can't tell another story. If something has happened in my house, then you know that they're lying. Somebody is lying. So similarly over here, this is one of the reasons that you track everything in a space, because one, you know that the company that you're holding is speaking the truth. The second is you also get an idea. Sometimes your company ka result could be far away, sometimes it could be too early. You get an idea of what to expect also to a certain level. So obviously when I'm speaking from my perspective over here, where I also assumed ki like arey PGL ka I don't think it would be that great, because obviously which company can grow at 80% every year? They grew this year, theek hai. They had a lot of good summer and everything. And to be very honest, my expectation was absolutely not there for PGEL. I thought, theek hai bhai, 20% ka guidance dega, I mean, the summer is not that great and everything. But to the surprise, actually, the guidance is not that bad. I'm not telling it is good, but I'm just telling you it's not that bad, okay? Because if you look at Blue Star, if you look at Voltus, if you look at Symphony, they are, where they were, like I told you, they were bullish last year of growing way more than the industry rate. This time, probably it will be around the industry rate or below the industry rate also, because of a lot of channel stocking that has happened, right? So there was a negative connotation. But here, I caught up with PGL ka con call live. They do not seem to see that problem which other companies are facing. Because if you look at other companies, they talk about April being slow. In fact, Blue Star told ki like, last year April they had 75% ka growth, and this time in April it was flat, it was muted. March was flat, March was muted and everything. Versus if you look at PGL ka, when people kept asking, literally the first question, whoever asked the first question in PGL ka con call, very good. The first question itself was, ki like the same thing, ki like, how is the summer? Itna stocking hua hai. Maybe if the summer is not that strong, price will come down, destocking hoga. What is your opinion? What is your view? That was asked straight point blank to the management, the first question. And I love the management over here. And they told ki, like, see, I understand, the other companies are facing this kind of demand ka problem and everything, but we as PGL, if you look at us, we are a contract manufacturer, right? So what we do is, we don't cater to one company alone. We are catering to like 85 plus companies, right? So we are not facing the kind of severe problem that they are facing. Okay, that is point number one. Second, in terms of, if you want to look at the Q1 months, April has been good. May also has been good. The May, they did not face any cancellation of order or slowdown in terms of order. But what they also told was, in June we are hearing about there has been rains, there has been a little bit of rains, there could be a slowdown or something like that. June is something that we are unsure of, but April and May, obviously, June is next month, how can they predict? But April and May has been quite good so far, and whatever the company has promised or whatever the company's internal targets are, it's going according to the plan. Now, when you talk about the internal targets of the company, it comes down to one thing, right? Guidance, what they have given. And if you look at the guidance for FY26, if you look at PGL ka, only PGL ka if you have to take, they are planning to grow by 30%, the sales by around 30% next year, if I'm not wrong, right? Yeah, 30.3%, they're targeting around 4,870 crore rupees, okay? And if you take the group revenue, they're targeting around 7,200, because when you talk about the group revenue, you have to take consolidated. They have a lot of subsidiaries, such as they have PG Technoplast, they have Goodwill, what is that Goodwill, right? Unka jo TV ka business jo hai, which they which they sold it long back. So all of this, including all of this on a consolidated level, on a group level, it would be, they would be reaching a sale of 7,200 crores, which is a growth of 47% to be precise over the previous year. Okay, so now you understand, right? Like, again, why am I telling over here the guidance is not that bad? I mean, because one, I really expected them to the guidance to be around 20% or so. The fact that they're actually guiding, and also I don't understand why people are taking 30% as a guidance. क्यों भाई? Consolidated business, PGL का अपना business नहीं है क्या? आप लोग क्यों standalone देख रहे हो? अभी जब आप income statement देख रहे हो, what are you seeing? Are you seeing consolidated or standalone? आप लोग तो अभी standalone, sorry, consolidated ही देख रहे हो ना? So when you're giving guidance, why are you not checking for console level? Why are you checking for like standalone level? I don't understand. कि like क्यों all of that are not contributing? वहाँ से पैसा नहीं आ रहा है क्या? Ultimately पैसा तो आ रहा है ना? Ultimately that is what matters, right? So over here also, if you look at it, these people are guiding for 46%, which is, again, over here, let me come, don't jump to the gun over here before watching the full video. You can also tell, yes, the pace of growth has come down. It has come down from 80%, which was this year, to 46-47% this year. Why am I telling it is not that bad? Is because when you see most of the companies, when you see that the guidance has been reduced and the pace of growth comes down, you also have to check like kya hota hai na. I'll take an example of ACE. It was a good 30, 35, 40% ka growth engine. So as they increase the guidance, the P at which it used to trade was also at a decent level. It was not like, once the guidance was reduced from 40 to 15 to 20%, kya hua tha? Earlier it was a 40%, 45% ka growth engine at around probably 50-55 ka P. There was not a lot of difference in terms of the growth and the P. But when they revised the guidance on the lower end, kya hua? It became the same growth engine, went from 40 to 15% ka growth engine at the same P, at 45p. Now you understand over here, pace of growth coming down over here, the guidance revising was a big red flag, was a big negative. Same thing, there is an IT company called as Consol, which was a very small company. There was 1 year they were continuously doubling the sale, okay, like 60% se grow ho raha tha and everything, and the P re-rated very quickly also over there, okay. So at that time, when they were guiding for 100% ka growth, it was at like a 40p. 40p दे रहे हो, 100% का growth, high growth, low P engine, ठीक है? So that deal made sense. But later क्या हुआ? उसी कंपनी ने क्या किया? They revised the guidance, बोला कि like we will not be able to double our sales, we will grow from 100 to 40%, ठीक है? 40% का guidance दिया था, 35 या 40%. At that time what happened? आपका earlier क्या था? 100% growth engine at 40p. Now what it became? Now it became a 35% growth engine at 40p. Earlier high growth, low P. Now क्या हुआ? अभी P high है, growth low है. So now you understand at that time, guidance being lowered and everything was a big negative, pace of growth coming down is a negative. If I take PGL ka case over here, you see that yes, pace of growth has come down. There is no negative, there is no denying that. Okay. If you look at over here, it is still a 47% ka growth engine at 61 to 65p. Okay? If I take the guidance that they have given in terms of profitability, the guidance is to achieve 405 crore in terms of next year in terms of profitability. That would be a 40% growth in terms of profitability compared to FY24. Now, if I take that, it is a 47% ka growth engine at a 1 year forward P roughly between 60 to 65. Earlier, Q4 of FY24, if I check Q4 of FY24, same time last year, it was a 47% का growth engine at 35p. Yes, is the deal as lucrative as it was last year? No, probably not, right? Because last year it was high growth, low P, right? 45% का growth engine था 35p में. अभी 45% का growth engine at 60 to 65p. So yes, it is not as lucrative as it was last year, but also at the same time, the guidance is not that bad. It's neither like, oh, very good, hell, I mean, all great and everything, but it is also not that terrible. Now, what would be terrible is over here, going forward, they would not, why am I telling it is not that bad is because if you look at last Q4, if you check, right, they didn't guide ki like hum 80% se grow karenge in the next year. They didn't. They came and they told ki like, 47% se grow karenge. Then they came in Q1, it became 54, Q2 mein 73, Q3 में 80% का guidance. They increased it slowly over the quarters. So yes, in a way, both the arguments are right. In one way, the pace of growth has come down. The guidance is not that lucrative. At the same time, it's also right if you think like, what is the probability that they won't increase the guidance in the upcoming quarters? It's a 50% chance, right? 50% chance ki like guidance would be increased, 50% chance that the guidance would not be increased. It all depends on how the entire month of May and June goes, right? We have to see if we are going to have channel ka destocking or not. That would literally set the tone. So that is why I'm telling, that is why मैं बार-बार बोले जा रही हूँ कि like it is not that bad. The situation is not probably as worse as probably that was expected. What would be worse is, in Q1 of FY26, 25 आ रहा है मेरे दिमाग में. In Q1 of FY26, if we do not see the guidance being revised on the upper end, then क्या होगा? The deal becomes even more less attractive than what it is today. Because today it is you're paying 65p for like a 45% का growth engine. Yes, P is way higher. Now it is like, at this point, at this phase, it is like riding a tiger. एक quarter में भी, एक growth का slowdown होता है, then you would be, stuck in that stock for a very long time. There is no doubt regarding that. But आगे जाके when you see in Q1, if the guidance is not revised on the upper end, then क्या होगा यहाँ पे? The deal becomes even more unattractive. शायद at that time it would probably be like a 40-45% का growth engine, because the market cap would have, let's say, on a positive case, market cap would expand. Then it would be the same 45% का growth engine at probably like at 70-75p. So over the period of time, if the guidance is not increased, the deal becomes very unattractive as the time frame passes by. Okay? So this is I would say this is with PGEL. Other than that, if you see, they are doing a lot of capex. A lot of capex when I tell about it, because last time, like I told you, the capex guidance was 360 crore, and this time the capex guidance is somewhere between 800 to 900 crore for this year. And they are putting up a lot of greenfield facility. Unka jo Supa ka plant hai in Rajasthan, where they are commissioning AC ke liye, they're putting up a whole new commission. They're going to increase or extend that, that facility even more. They're putting up a plant for washing machine in Noida. They are also putting, for plastic and components, ek Rajasthan mein they're putting up. In the south also, they're putting up a new capacity for refrigeration. So this is going to be a greenfield, a couple of greenfield facility, and brownfield in Supa. I mean, whatever the facility is there, they're going to extend it even more. And this capex that is there, this 800-900 crore ka capex, which is guided for this year, it is supposed to be live. Some part of it will be live in I would say in the Q4 of this year, FY26, and the others, all of this greenfield and everything, it should be done by the end of FY27, probably in that time. So depreciation will add on from there. Okay. So all in all, great. I will, to be very honest, management commentary was nice. If you have the chance, do catch up with Blue Star, Voltus, and Symphony, Havels also for that matter. Just look at the way they spoke in terms, I mean, see, it's at the end of the day, two humans interacting. You'll get the vibe from the con call. You see that in that con call, there was a lot of negative vibe, connotations, and everything, whatever you want to call it. But in PGEL con call, it was not as bad as it was in Volta. So yes, right now, if you look at PGEL, yes, the valuations are expensive. There is no denying that. We'll have to wait and see how this business progresses in Q1, because in Q1, if the guidance is not increased, if they continue to be that 45% growth engine, then yes, it becomes tough. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it does become tough for the business to have a really, because if you look at this year, the P rating was immense, right? Immense. I think the stock literally I don't even remember it climbed by a huge amount, right? It rose like the entire FY24-25 immense P rating it happened. So if the guidance is not improved, if the guidance is not revised on the upper end, do not expect the same kind of P rating that happened in FY24-25 to happen in FY25-20, I mean 25-26, right? So just rate se wo P rating hone wala tha, that will not happen. And obviously, like, it's not impossible, but it becomes hard at this rate or at this growth rate for you to get the same kind of P rating that you had in the previous year. Now over here, like I told you, मैं repeatedly बोल रही थी कि like it is not as bad as that we were expecting PGL का result. But here is the thing, I might change my stance over here depending also on how the results have been for Amber, EPAC and Virtuous Optoelectronics. Let's say, because see, in the entire of FY24-25, when you see this last year, PGL was leading the race, right? And there is a reason that PGL got a higher valuation, because it was growing faster compared to anybody, and it did so very flawlessly. I will tell you, the best five, I would say the best 4 quarters of this year has been PGL. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. What a fabulous performance. What an absolute rage it has been, right? Great compared to EPAC, because EPAC may, there was a couple of quarters where operating leverage was not there. Virtuous Optoelectronics didn't grow as fast as PGL. Amber ka wahan pe the deal was not lucrative if you look at it, right? Because uska base bhi bada hai compared to PGL, but even PGL grew faster than Amber. But if we see, let's say in this Q4 ka result, and if there is a possibility that either of these three players would be able to grow, again I'm using the word would, if they are going to grow faster than than PGL, then obviously it becomes even more negative for PGL, like, because uska P abhi higher compared to the growth rate, right? So it becomes even more negative for the PGL, like, if any of its competitors, if any of its peer tends to grow faster or can give a higher guidance, then the deal becomes even more unattractive than what it is right now. Okay, so that is the thing. So it's not just about PGL, you also have to track Amber, EPAC and Virtuous Optoelectronics and see, would they perform. I mean, if you're a PGL ka shareholder, you will rejoice. You will rejoice if they don't perform well, or if they don't guide for a higher revenues, and vice versa. So that is the thing. I will make a video on EPAC, Amber and Virtuous Optoelectronics, once the result is out for the same. Okay, but overall, as of now, Q4 numbers for PGL has been fantastic. There was no doubt about it. Going forward, FY26 ka guidance is not as bad as we were expecting. Okay, so that's that about PGL. Hope you all have a great day. I will make another video probably today if I have the time, because I have to catch up with con calls. Right, this week is going to be too tough. Many con calls that are live, but I shall make a video on, there is a jewelry company that is there, so need to make a video on that. But yeah, that's that. Hope all of you all are having a great result season. Take care, guys. Bye.